In the mid-90s, a rural Missouri town was suddenly plunged into darkness. Police discovered that a local man accidentally knocked out the entire power grid while attempting to construct a time machine on his back porch. The man was Mike Markham, an amateur inventor with a natural aptitude for electronics. His workspace was a graveyard of home appliances, old televisions, radios, and CD players, all dismantled and harvested for their internal components. The core of his experiment was a modified Jacob's ladder. By using a homemade transformer, he stepped up standard 120-volt household electricity to create high-voltage arcs that climbed between two metal rods. Markham lacked formal scientific training, which made his high-voltage tinkering incredibly dangerous. However, it also meant he wasn't restricted by the standard boundaries of the scientific establishment. To make the machine more efficient, Markham harvested lasers from discarded CD players. He used these to heat the air between the rods, ionizing it to lower electrical resistance and allow the spark to ignite on its own. When he reached 20,000 volts, something strange happened. A small sphere of distorted air began to hover above the machine, rippling like the heat waves you see over an asphalt road on a summer day. Markham tossed a sheet metal screw into this vortex. The screw disappeared instantly. He waited, confused, until the object suddenly fell back into the room and hit the floor several seconds later. He believed he had discovered a way to distort space-time, but to confirm his findings and send larger objects through the field, he needed a level of power that a residential neighborhood couldn't provide. Stabilizing a larger vortex required 76,000 volts, so Markham scaled up. He recruited friends with pickup trucks and stole 6 industrial transformers from a local power substation. During a test of this larger rig, his team pushed a living room couch into the vortex. The couch vanished, but the resulting surge fried the local electrical grid, plunging the town into another blackout. This second blackout led to Markham's arrest. He was eventually convicted of felony theft for the stolen equipment and sentenced to jail time. While his legal troubles temporarily ended the experiments, the arrest created a public record that verified his attempts to manipulate high-voltage energy fields. News of the madman and his time machine reached Art Bell, host of the radio show Coast to Coast AM. Bell interviewed Markham, who impressed the audience with his detailed technical knowledge of electrical engineering. Listeners began donating money, equipment, and even warehouse space. This influx of resources allowed Markham to move his operation from his back porch into a large-scale laboratory in Overland Park, Kansas. The radio broadcast gave Markham the visibility he needed to scale his project, turning his solitary experiments into a warehouse operation funded by supporters across the country. In this new facility, Markham built a 15-foot-tall machine. This final version used rotating magnets to generate a massive energy field he described as a plasma tornado, running on 3 million volts. This diagram explains how that level of force works. Electricity is often compared to water. While amps represent the total flow, volts represent the pressure. By using transformers to constrict the flow, Markham created extreme pressure. This pressure was contained within rotating magnetic fields. Markham believed that spinning these fields would mimic the effects of extreme gravity, essentially warping the fabric of spacetime. This portrait of Albert Einstein represents the theoretical framework Markham was trying to exploit. Einstein's equations for general relativity do allow for time travel through the manipulation of extreme gravity. Witnesses who visited the warehouse described roughly 200 tests where objects like baseballs and small animals would disappear into the vortex. According to these accounts, the objects would reappear minutes later, roughly 150 yards away. After mapping the coordinates where objects would reappear, Markham decided to test the machine on himself. He stood before the 3 million volt vortex and jumped. Entering the field was the ultimate test. He was betting his life that his understanding of electromagnetic time dilation was correct. Sometime later, Markham woke up in an open field with a severe headache. He had no identification, no money, and no memory of how he had arrived there. This map traces the 800-mile gap between the warehouse in Kansas and the field in Fairfield, Ohio. According to Markham, he checked a local newspaper and discovered that he had emerged 2 years into the future. He eventually returned to Overland Park, only to find the warehouse completely empty. Every piece of equipment, every video recording, and all of his research notes had vanished. Without the physical evidence of his machine or his data, Markham was forced to rely on his fragmented memory to try and rebuild what he had lost. As he tried to recreate his work, Markham noted a recurring issue. Metal was highly unstable inside the vortex. This meant he couldn't safely carry his digital notes or electronic devices through the field. This diagram shows his final engineering solution, a Faraday cage. By building a metal tube, he could shield his equipment and himself from the intense electromagnetic forces of the vortex. Markham eventually posted online that he was ready to try again, this time jumping from within the Faraday tube. That was the last anyone ever heard from him. Whether Markham truly quacked the mechanics of time dilation or simply became a victim of his own dangerous experiments, his disappearance remains a mystery. His story serves as a reminder that some of the most challenging questions in physics are still being pursued by individuals working in their own backyards.